Okay, as the weekend has begun, so today we're going to be reviewing ChocoPro 380. Now, this was recently took place on the 22nd of June. Now, the reason it was released just now was because Mei Suga and Balinaki made their way to Singapore, and I'll get to that at some point. Then we move on with, of course, with Stardom's much recent event in Korakuen Hall. This one features three title matches: the high-speed title, the future of Stardom, and of course, the tag titles. So, who will walk out as winners, or who will actually retain their belts in other special matches as well? Then we also have our final review with AEW Collision, featuring many other matches as well. We're definitely going to be seeing. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information I have not able to put on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do Nagasiaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions set aside, it's time to bring the noise. So let's begin with our very first review, and I believe that is ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro, this is their latest event that took place back on June 22nd. They just recently uploaded it on their YouTube channel. Now, some of you may question, why was this released till now? Well, they've been doing this recently once in a while due to some circumstances. As you know, I did mention earlier, Balinaki and Mei Suga are not currently in Japan. They are currently in Singapore participating in a tag team tournament in Grapple Max, which is a promotion based out of Singapore. So yes, there is pro wrestling in Singapore, and I'll get to that in our news updates because it relates to that in a bit. Now, as you know, we normally see certain people open up the show to give the lowdown. Well, for this particular day, we have Mei Suga doing it. So she gave the lowdown to the fans and explained what's happening. Now, our very first match, we have Irikane. She teams up with Mochi Natsumi. Now, recently I have noticed how Natsumi seems like she is taking certain unexperienced wrestlers under her wing, despite the fact that Iri is a bit more older, up in her 40s, which is no problem. But I'm sure she'll learn a lot from her. But their opponents, on the other hand, is Hiroyi Yawada, who's also another rookie who showed up just recently. She teams up with with Shonchiru. Yeah. So what? So you probably would think Shonchiru, who is a bit more clever and very, very masterful, was going to pick up the win. But however, Iri was a lot smarter to try to separate Shonchiru away from Hiroyi, while Mochi Natsumi applied the single leg crab hold, forcing her to tap out. And that's exactly what she did. Now, our second match, we have Chiko Shikawa teaming up with Sayaka Obihiro, taking on Momoka Seto and Masa Takanashi. Now, of course, Masa, we all know he's a bit more of a slick wrestler, very slide wrestler that you wouldn't expect. But however, he's teaming up with Nonoka Seto, who has less experience than everybody else, other than, of course, Iri and Hiroyi, or she's above them. But however, we know she's a bit fiery and a bit more of a fighting spirit type. But however, this match ended with, of course, Chiko Shikawa making the pinfall, allowing for her and Obi to pick up the win. Now, our main event, we have Miya Yatsuba. She teams up with Trans Am Hiroshi. You may have seen him. He dressed up like a karate kid, and sometimes he likes to sing, even though it gets everybody in the mood. They face against Big Dave, who's from Grapple Max out of Singapore, and he teams up with the Big Apple, Mei Shruga. Yes, guys, if you guys notice, Grapple Max, there is some history between them, and also this is the promotion where they have an alliance with New Japan. We haven't seen them make their way yet to New Japan just yet, but hopefully we do in the future. The match was pretty okay in every aspect, but however, of course, we cannot deny that Mei Shruga is in fact the senpai of Miya Yatsuba. Miya was trained under Mei Shruga. Of course, if you guys remember, I did mention a while back, Miya is the first ever non-Emi Sakura trained by. She was never trained by Emi Sakura, as you know. Emi Sakura has been living here in the U.S. for a couple years, so that's the main reason that happened. But that it did put out in that way, where of course the teacher defeats the student, so that lays out the whole thing. But nonetheless, Big Dave and Mei Shruga pick up the win. Now, for our Jonkin tournament, this one was a bit more, I did not expect it to be. However, we did see Shin Suzuki, who we haven't seen for quite some time. As you know, Shin injured himself during a ChocoPro event. It's still no telling if he will come back to wrestle or he'll just help out in any way possible. But he was the one who picked up the chocolate and won the entire tournament. So I think that's pretty much it right now, what we have for ChocoPro, and I believe it's time for Stardom. Okay. Stardom in Korakuen Hall. This is their much recent event that they just did. It opened up with, of course, the president of New Japan and the ace himself, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, some of you may question what he was doing there. Well, from what I understand, it appears that Stardom is now as like a subsidiary to New Japan Pro Wrestling, so that kind of sets it up from there. So basically, they own it now. So he said that he's willing to work with President Taru Okada, who runs right now Stardom. Many people even praise Okada for the kind of matches he would do. Some people still don't, but we'll see how that rolls up between them. Now, our opening match is a championship match. This is the high-speed title. We have Fukigen Death of Oedo Tai taking on Saya Kamitani. And as you all know, she is still the only one left within Queen's Quest, and she's carrying the Queen's Quest flag with her. You know, Micah even talked about how she has never carried the flag that much, but right now it's like she's still clinging to hold on to it. But however, of course, we know that Fukigen Death will try to do some tricks, but it was in fact Saya Kamitani with a bridge that put away Fukigen Death in order to retain the belt. Now, our next match, we have Rian versus Aya Sakura. Now, this is a very interesting development. Now, these two ladies are, in fact, still rookies, as you all know. Now, however, The hierarchy of this type of match, Aya Sakura, as you know, has much experience than Rian. Don't forget, she debuted last year in March of 2023 along with Hanako. So Rian has a bit more less experience, but we know she'll grow eventually. But it was Aya Sakura with the high knee, that high kick that put her away, and she said during a post-match comment that it wasn't perfect, but she was willing to perfect it, which makes me understand she is well aware what mistakes were done, and I think that's a good thing for someone like her to see it. So we'll see what happens after this. Now our next match, we have Lady C and Hina, formerly of Queen's Quest. They team up with God's Eye, consistent of Rana Yagami, Saki Kashima, and Ami Sori. So this is a very interesting thing to see. As you know, Lady C and Hina have been expelled from Queen's Quest during that match that they took place at the conversion. But right now they are facing against Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayaka Kurata, Yuna Mizumori, Natsupoi, Sayuri Ano, and of course Tam Nakano. Now, of course, there is one thing that many people question: is Ano still okay after losing the white belt? However, she hasn't responded to anything that's been happening. She hasn't responded. Will she take the rematch against Iwata to reclaim back the white belt, or will Natsupoi do it herself? That is still unclear. However, we know they are still the Cosmic Angels are still in unison. But however, seeing Hina and Lady C, that's a different story. Now remember, they're not officially members of God's Eye, but I wouldn't be surprised if God's Eye would like to convince them to join, regardless of how things are going. But nonetheless, it was Ami Suri who picked up the win by applying the Thunderbolt onto Ami Suri to pick up the win. I'm sure Ami Suri is laughing her ass off that she beat her, because she was unable to beat her for the white belt. But, however, as soon as the match was over, President Okada said there was negotiations between Stardom and Sendai Girls. So there was still no response from from Sayori Inoue about their title match on July 15 or 14, somewhere around there, for the white belt. So it was decided that, of course, Mika Awada will team up with Manami, and of course, they're facing against Natsupoi and Sayori Inoue. Now, in the back, during the post-match comments, she's still like not talkative yet. She's like still being depressed and all that. But Tam Nakano tried to talk to her, like trying to say, "You'll be okay. We know that you're unable to say anything." But of course, Tam Nakano had to leave right away because she has to catch a flight. Turns out he had information about her not being in Forbidden Door. Well, whoever, I don't know where Scott Edwards got that information. Hopefully he admits that he was wrong. But however, everybody tries to reason with Ano about what happened, but we'll see what happens on that day. So that this match will take place on July 4th, I think. But yeah, we'll see. Now, our next match, we have Oedo Tai, consisting of Raka, Tekla, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Miyu Amasaki, Meisida, Azumi, and Starlight Kid. Now remember, Starlight Kid said that she was going to form a new faction with Crazy Star, Suzuki, and Meisida. However, she invited both Amisuri and Miyuki to be part of it, but they haven't made a decision just yet. But the real question is, how will they coexist? However, I'm sure Amasaki and Azumi have forgotten what Oedo Tai did, but you would think that Oedo Tai would try to mock them, seeing that they are still miserable. But for some odd reason, things did not go according to plan for them. Starlight Kid was the one who picked up the win onto Raka. As you all know, Raka was the one who attacked her and and she was expelled from Oedo Tai because of that. So I say Starlight Kid, on the other hand, got payback for what happened back on April. But at the same time, Natsuko Tora cannot believe that they lost in this fashion, knowing that they got what they wanted, but things are not going according to plan for them. But we'll see what happens from here on out. Now, our next match, we have star members consistent of Momo Kogo, Saya Hanan, and Mayu Iwatani. They're taking on EXV Hanako, Waka, Xena, and Micah. So basically, there's a lot of variables that are taking place in this one. But there's no significance of this match. What's going on? But however, we do know that Hanako and Waka do still have sights for the New Blood Tag Team titles, despite that they lost. Even though Hana thinks that Waka already surpassed her 3 years of experience. But we'll see what happens. But it was Hana to Hanako with the Hanan special to pick up the win. So this is a very disappointing loss for EXV, but we'll see what happens from here on out. Now our next match is the Future of Stardom Championship. We have the challenger coming from Diana, Nanami, who, as you all know, she is also a member of God's Eye. Don't forget, she actually was requested to join, despite that she's from another promotion. And of course, Shuri actually welcomed her to the group. And you will all think that this match was going to be Rina's turf. But however, Nanami, I have to say, she has grown significantly. Now, I have seen her countless times on in Diana on a few occasions. But, however, this match ended in a time limit draw. So it's like, I think this is the first ever time limit draw for Rina. Rina has always been successful in beating her opponents, but despite the fact that she retained the belt, I don't think this is a satisfaction for Rina, despite the fact that she wants to, of course, beat her sister's record. I wouldn't be surprised that, even though she'll be happy to retain the belt, but she's not happy that this is part of her record, and he's into that. But yeah, however, Rana Yagami has asking for a shot of the future belt. Rina doesn't believe that she's ready for it, but we'll see what happens. Now our main event, this is the Goddess of Stardom, the tag belt. We have God's Eye members Konami and Sudi taking on FWC, Koguma and Azuki. Now, of course, we know that Konami and Sudi in the past, recently, since Konami has now become a full-time member of Stardom again, they have been aiming for the tag belts. Now, it's no secret that these two are very close friends. They are both have the same fighting style. I mean, they both have grappling and kick striking capabilities. That has always been a factor of that match. But however, it was, of course, Konami with the chokehold on Azuki, and the ref had no other choice but to call the match, and the match was won by God's Eye, becoming our brand new Goddesses of Stardom Championships. However, as you know, things, now that Shuri and Konami are in fact tag champions, it appears that they have targets in their backs. It appears that Oedo Tai are now making a play for these belts, and they said that they are next to be dismantled. I mean, it's like they're saying, like, dismantling Queen's Quest is still not enough. So they felt like, let's dismantle this team as well. So basically they want to do whatever it takes. But we'll see what happens until then. So I think we are done with Stardom. Let's move on with, of course, our last and final review, AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. Opened up with Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii teaming up. They take on TMDK, Robbie Eagles, and Shane Hayes. Now, don't forget, they'll be meeting up with the frontman of TMDK, Orange Cassidy, against Zack Sabre Jr. at the Forbidden Door. So anything could go down in any way possible. But however, I have to say Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii did a fantastic job. As you all know, Ishii's the only one who hasn't left Orange Cassidy's side. But it was Orange Cassidy was able to build up momentum when he pinned, of course, Robbie Eagles when he applied the beach break, and just like that, it was over. Now, we did see a little bit of a vignette from Hangman Page. We haven't seen him since a few months now after Revolution. We see, of course, where he's like in an empty home, but you see like a photo of him with the Elite, with the Bucks and Kenny from their BT episode known as Mind Games. So it just suggests that, of course, that Hangman's family left him. He was all alone. So we don't know what's going on. But however, it seems like it's indicating that, people are expecting the wild card to be, of course, Hangman. But it most likely be someone else. We just don't know who. But we don't know what this means. We do know he is scheduled to come back, but we just don't know exactly when or where. Now, we do see a bit of the learning tree on a few occasions, little by little. We've been seeing them that they've been appearing, going, "Hey guys," all the time. Chris Jericho talking about people doing their jobs and stuff, that sort of thing. Been driving him crazy. But the real problem later is when they bump into, of course, Joe, Hook, and Shibata. It was a 3-on-3 scenario. But however, while they were in the ring, they were surprise attacked by a particular person, and that person is someone that Jericho at one time, when he was the leader of the Inner Circle, he called for help to deal with Jon Moxley, and that person is none other than the current New Japan World Television Champion, Jeff Cobb. So it makes perfect sense because, who knows how many friends he had in certain locations. So that makes absolute sense about that. Now, our next match, we see Stephanie Vaquer taking on Lady Frost. Now, don't forget, Stephanie Vaquer will be facing Mercedes Moné for a title versus title type of match. Winner takes all. So, of course, Mercedes said that she was going to be ringside watching this. So she stayed very, very close to the entire match. But, of course, Mercedes is probably rooting for Lady Frost. But, however, Stephanie Vaquer, as you know, she has become a dangerous wrestler over time. And I'm sure Stephanie has learned from her mistakes from the last time when they countered last year. And so basically that's how it turns out. But however, it was Stephanie Vaquer with that devastating backbreaker to the neck that she does seal the deal. However, Mercedes got in her face. But however, we did not see coming that this was a trap laid on by Stephanie. Apparently, her tag partner, Zeuxis, attacked her from behind and they beat her up. So the obvious question is, will Stephanie do the unthinkable? Will she become quadruple champion? Well, we will see at the Forbidden Door. Now, we do see a bit of an interview with the Death Triangle. Well, mostly for the Lucha Brothers, their plans. But they were interrupted by LIJ's Titan and Hiromu. So it seems like they wanted to have a match with, of course, Hiromu, Titan, and Bushi against Death Triangle. But however, due to circumstances, the Lucha Brothers decided, they want Pac to focus on the Owen Hart tournament. So they decided for the first time that they will team up with Mystico, which is awesome. And of course, Hiromu's like, in shock, acting like a fanboy or something. I don't know. But he was happy with the idea. And you can tell that Titan's like, what the hell's wrong with you? I mean, that's part of Hiromu's personality. That's how he interacts. Now, our next match, we have the Professor, Serena Deeb, taking on Kelly Madden. Well, I can tell you this match ended with her because she applied the detox and that was it. So as soon as the match was over, she conducted a promo and to add a little spice, a bit of an open challenge, and the one person who responded to the challenge was Riho. So it's great to see her back, but it does make sense why she came back. Now, many of you may remember, Serena Deeb was at one time the NWA Women's World Champion, and she defended that belt against Riho. That was like right after Riho lost the AEW Women's World Title to Nyla Rose. So, but however, it was during a buy-in where, of course, Riho was unable to obtain that belt and lost to her. So this is more of a revenge match for Riho to rectify that loss. So that would make sense for that to happen. So we'll see when that goes up. Now, we do see an interview with Orange Cassidy. As you know, he's been frustrated with a lot of things that have been happening. First with Trent, Chris, and all this. But the one thing that gets his mind is that, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. wasn't there to watch. He felt like he's being disrespected. But however, Zack Sabre Jr. corrected him, saying he respected him because he saw the kind of person he is. So basically, he wants to know what kind of person he is in the ring. So he's not an idiot. But of course, Orange told him that he will definitely beat him with his hands in his pockets. So we'll see if that comes true or not. Now, Our next match, we have the technical wizard, Hechiseto, versus Kevin Blackwood. Now, of course, Hechiseto, as you know, is building up momentum to the face against MJF, but that's exactly what he did. He put Kevin Blackwood in a submission, and just like that, it was over. But however, the honest question is MJF paying attention of the kind of individual Hechiseto is in the ring? So we'll find out. Now, we do see an interview with, of course, with the hose bags, completely, as I like to call them, Christian, Nick Wayne, and Luton's Killswitch. But of course, we know that they have their sights set on the trios belt. But however, we know the kind of person Jay White is. Jay White thinks he is like at the top and all that. So he's saying to Christian, Christian, you're irrelevant. You're trying to ride the coattails to spark your relevancy. So that's exactly what he's trying to say. I'm sure Christian does not find this amusing. Of course, I'm sure Christian would think of ways to try to hurt him, but he's got to remember, Jay White is on a different level than him. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, as you know, Collision was in Buffalo, New York. This is not only the hometown of Daniel Garcia, but also the Butcher. They're both from the same general area. So it's a perfect fitting for these two talents who are from the city of Buffalo, New York, to be there. So I thought it was a good fitting. And Daniel Garcia, as you know, he's building a momentum because we do know this coming Wednesday he'll be facing Will Ospreay for the AEW International title. But if Swerve, in the other hand, however, if he does defeat Swerve for the AEW World title, he'll put that title on the line as well. So we'll see where that leads us. But it was Daniel Garcia with a pile driver that put away Butcher, and it was over just like that. But at the same time, we did see, of course, two fellow Buffalo New Yorkers leave the ring together as proud citizens of that city. Now, we do see a little interview with Will Ospreay. He talks about, of course, this coming Sunday for Forbidden Door, and here comes Don Callis and the rest of the family. But of course, we don't know what's going to happen. We know that Don wants him to apply the Tiger Driver, which of course he refused to do. But we'll see what that leads us. Now, of course, we did see Jack Perry. He was scheduled to be in the main event, to team up with Takeshita and El Phantasmo. However, he felt like he didn't want to be part of this. But per to Christopher Daniels' orders, if he doesn't even participate, he'll be pulled out of the ladder match. So he had no other choice but to oblige. Now, our next match is, of course, part of the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. We have, of course, Hikaru Shida versus Deonna Purrazzo. Now, of course, this was a very interesting match. I think many of you might have thought Deonna Purrazzo was going to win this one. However, it was Shida that was able to apply it after she conducted the Kitana, and just like that, it was completely over. Now, of course, Deonna was not happy, but she attacked Hikaru Shida until Thunder Rosa showed up to make the save. So it makes sense now that they want to continue on with the feud between Deonna and Thunder Rosa. So that's possibly the whole thing, the point of the story. So we'll see where that leads. Now, of course, we do see Toni Storm, as you know, a little distraught what happened this past Wednesday and all of that. And she walked on glass without shoes and all that. So I don't know how that felt, but we'll see. Now, as you know, we have the TNT ladder match. We have Dante Martin, Mark Briscoe, and Leo Rush teaming up to take on Takeshita, El Phantasmo, and Jack Perry. So anything could happen in this particular match. So I thought it was a fantastic match. I thought it was pretty good. But it was Takeshita who put away Dante Martin with a knee strike to the face, and just like that. But as soon as everything was over, all hell broke loose. All competitors, all bets are off, knocked each other out until we see who's going to win at the Forbidden Door. So that's going to be very interesting to happen. Now, the show ended with, of course, with the weigh-ins between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Now, I cannot remember what the weigh-in is, but however, Swerve Strickland once again crossed the line talking about Will Ospreay's family, and Will Ospreay had enough and just gave him the hidden blade. So that's that's gonna cost him dearly, but we'll see where that goes from here. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen in Forbidden Door. I think many of you are excited for that. So, but at this moment, I think we are done with all the reviews. So we're gonna do a very short news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. Now we're putting this part of the news of the updates with the promotions. Let's call this part the Dijak report. As you may or may not have heard, as soon as Dijakovic, or should I say Dijak, was no longer with the company, with WWE, it was immediately announced that he will make an appearance at Roseland 8, a show that normally would be conducted by Prestige Wrestling. So it appears that both Prestige Wrestling, along with Deadlock Pro Wrestling and West Coast Pro, will participate. So Dijak will be appearing in this one in September on the 29th. And it was also announced by another promotion called Relentless that he'll be also appearing. But recently I just found out, of course, he showed up in a promotion called Blitzkrieg. So he's been making headways now. This is something similar to what we saw to Mustafa Ali. We just don't know how extent it is. But we will stick to this as a glue. Now, we finally got the full card for the upcoming Tokyo Pro Wrestling event, Summer Sun Princess, that will take place on, of course, on the 29th of July. So this is what we do know. We do know that the Princess title will be defended. Miyu Watanabe faces against her tag team partner and friend, Rika Tatsumi. The tag team titles will be defended. Daisy Monkey, Arisu Endo, and Suzumi will defend it against Moka Miyamoto and Yuki Arai. Then we have Aja Kong taking on the big kaiju Shoko Nagajima. Then we have, of course, Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito teaming up. They face against Ami Sakura and Mizuki. Then we have Yuki Kamifuku taking on Nao Kakuta. As you know, Nao Kakuta is on the verge of retiring very, very soon. And then, of course, we have Raku, Yuki Anoe, and Pam Harajuku. They'll team up together. They will face against Kaya Taribami, Yuna Manaze, and Kiru Machino. Then we have Mei Shruga taking on Uta Takami. Then we have Chika Nanaze versus Kairi Summer. Then we have Toga, Wakana Uhara, and Runa Okubu. They'll take on Iramari, Shino Suzuki, and Haru Shizuru. So that's pretty much the card for Summer Sun Princess. So we'll be seeing that. Now let's jump into some developments. As you know, I haven't been covering much of the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. It was announced by them that Max the Impaler has signed an exclusive contract with them to be part of the roster. So good for her. So I'm happy for her for that. Now this is our last development here to put. The Best Bros, as you know, I mentioned, they are currently in Singapore for the Grapple Max Tag Team Tournament, and they just defeated their opponents, Ships Ahoy. It was Mei Shruga who picked up the victory when they applied the Dolphin Press onto Sarah Coldheart. So I don't know if the Best Bros will make it all the way, but to me they are my absolute favorite tag team coming from that promotion. So we'll just see what happens until then. So this is only night 1 of the tag team tournament, so we'll see what happens in night 2. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I may keep the next one a bit shorter for 2 reasons. One, probably I will be seeing Stardom's much recent show they will have. I forgot the name of the place. But this one is going to be very interesting. But also, I will be doing AEW's New Japan's Forbidden Door. So that's one is, those two are a priority. So I haven't decided if there's going to be anything going on. Now, if there are some news updates, I will post them as well. So we will see from here on out where we go. But at this moment, we are done with everything, with all our reviews and our news updates. So I will say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.